Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang, and welcome to this video. And the topic today is, what is the best way to heal addiction? What is the best way to heal addiction? And the context is whole person health, health of body, mind, and spirit. And to answer the question, I'd like to tell you a couple of stories today. One story happened not too long ago. The other one happened more than 30 years ago. And the first story is a patient that I have seen in the past many times who was relatively young and was addicted to narcotics, among other chemicals, and was pretty much on a self-destructive path, up and down, but mainly down, had destroyed multiple relationships or closest relationships, typical of many drug addicts and people who have family members who have seen the decline and destruction of the lives of people who are drug addicts, have felt that pain and seen that pain. They know what I'm talking about. And you've probably seen it in somebody that you know, maybe even a relative. And the story of this person is that she was young enough to go to a fairly intensive camp that really emphasized faith as the foundation of her getting better. So that's one of the reasons why I think that spiritual health is the foundation of whole person health and the foundation of all our health. It's not the only thing that one has to pay attention to. You have to pay attention to eating right, exercising, lots of other things if you want to be healthy. But the spiritual health is really the most important for a lot of reasons that I've explained in other videos. But on with her story. She had promised, tried many times, been in and out of many treatment programs. But it wasn't until she came to this camp and was able to completely internalize the experience of having a relationship with Jesus Christ in a way that touched her heart, renewed her heart, that she finally became free of the addiction. Now, she still has a ways to go in terms of the rest of her life. She could easily fall back into addiction. But the interesting thing about her is that she has now a visible difference. And that visible difference people around her describe as a glow. She looks like she's glowing. And it's not something that she's making up. People just notice this. And somebody that knows her well related a story of how her radiation of God's love for her is touching the lives of other people, and how one person who simply hugged her, who was going through a very difficult time, was almost instantaneously healed of a very bad memory, a very bad hurt in that person's life. And it was a wonderful story of how the power of God really is in people who have experienced a deep relationship with Jesus, especially when they've experienced healing, what we call being saved. We really mean it when we say we've been saved from something that was really horrible. And so this person experienced ultimate success, at least at this point, because of the direct touch of Jesus. But she couldn't do that without paying attention to the natural rules of our bodies. It takes months to work through all of the physiologic and psychological issues that block this kind of encounter with Christ most of the time, because that's just how we're made. And so people who want to pursue a spiritual renaissance that can bring healing to addiction need to understand that this is a long-term process. They need to be involved in a very intensive set of relationships. And in this case, she was able to isolate herself completely from the outside world as she learned this new relationship. Now, the The second story I want to tell you is when I was in medical school, and we were in a sort of the interim between finishing the book work, starting clinical work. And so one of the topics at that sort of interphase was alcoholism. And so some of the specialists got up, people who know a lot about alcoholism got up, talked about it, taught us about it. And pretty much everybody in the room was bored and couldn't wait to get out of that particular presentation. It was just not inspiring. Even though it might have been full of truth and knowledge, it was not inspiring. Well, then these three guys came in who were members of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were all alcoholics in recovery. And each one of them told their story. And the attention that the medical students gave to these three men was dramatic. You could just see the difference. You could hear the difference in the room. It was like there was an energy in the room as people heard truth that was being lived out. It wasn't just theoretical truth. It was the real deal truth. These people were living their recovery from alcoholism day by day. And the method that they were doing it with was called Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, in our modern day, the spiritual approach to recovery from addiction, whether it be alcohol or drugs, it really isn't promoted that much by the professionals because they want to use the medical model or the counseling model. And what I tell patients is it's always been true with alcoholism that the highest rate of success has always been for people that just go through Alcoholics Anonymous without any counseling, if they go every day. And I tell people when they are dealing with alcoholism and they want to recover, they finally made the decision, I tell them, you need to plug into an AA meeting every day, and you need to get that so that it can soak into you. There's so much denial going on when people are in addiction that it just takes this in your face day by day before it soaks in. And I finally realize I am really addicted to stuff, and it is controlling my life and it's destroying my life. And so AA really, really works to overcome alcoholism because of this connection with the spiritual. One of the whole focuses of AA is depending on what they call a higher power. Now, AA started out as a Christian recovery movement. It's kind of been generalized out so that people of other faiths can also utilize the principles, the 12-step principles that are part of recovery. But the point is, you've got to admit addiction is real, and then you have to depend on God for help. And you have to do that moment by moment, day by day, for the rest of your life. And if you do, if you're committed to doing that, you can get better. Your loved one can get better. Now, this girl that I spoke about before, she had the advantage of getting away from the triggers of addiction so that she could get healed before coming back to those situations. And she has a very good chance of staying healed and not being sucked back into the drug culture again this time around, because she's finally had that experience of encountering the real person of Jesus, not just some mythical idea, but the real encounter with God. And she now glows with that encounter. That's available to anybody. It's not just available to the chosen few. It's available to anybody that wants it and is willing to seek it. So I offer these two stories because I want to give whoever watches this video hope that you can get better, your loved one can get better, your friend, your relative can get better if they're willing to take these kind of steps of essentially total immersion in the person who can help you recover, which is God. So I hope you found this helpful. God bless and have a great day.